Hello. Welcome to another video from 10x Investor Education. So in this video, I would like to talk about Ocugen, the business updates, quarterly results that happened this week on March 18th. So this is my 10th video on Ocugen, and this is only updates because I have created so far 9 videos. So this I'm not going to cover any fundamentals of Ocugen or Covaxin, anything in this video because I already covered in a lot of my previous videos. So if you don't want the details about very in-depth deep dive of Ocugen, Covaxin, all other vaccines, please look at my previous videos. Okay, so this weekend I took my Moderna vaccine, which is based on mRNA platform. So I have two kids who are doing virtual school this year, and both are in middle school, and they are not eligible to take any vaccine yet that is approved in US. So honestly, I'm ready to take Covaxin for my kids if it's available in US, since this is a known platform for decades. So even the efficacy rate is 80% compared to 90% and above for mRNA platforms. So it's not saying mRNA is not safe, but I feel more comfortable with a safe platform that is there for decades and proven the long-term effects. Since nobody knows the long-term effects of mRNA platform, it's just been only a few months. We don't know after 1 year, after 2 years, if there are any long-term effects on our bodies. So as I said in my previous video, March 18th is when they announced their quarter results and also business update on how the discussions on getting emergency use authorization for Covaxin happening with FDA and BARDA. So I went through their quarterly update call few times, the whole transcript few times, and I'm going to cover here in few minutes. So after the call, I think I'm more optimistic than before on getting an emergency approval in USA. So with these things, you have to be really patient. So it's not going to happen overnight because before applying for emergency use authorization known as EUA, so they need to have discussions, and based on the discussions and data, they have to provide all the data, and they will say, okay, now we have enough information to consider your candidate for EUA. Then only they can actually apply for it. So they just don't go and put application, apply for it. So that is happening for months for Novavax, if you look at it. So Novavax didn't even still apply. So they're planning to apply next month, April, with the results from limited results from US and also detailed results from UK. So then they are expected for a Novavax to get approval in May or June. So that's the reason why this takes months to get approval. So a lot of people are not patient, so they don't want see the results and stock double next year. So that's not going to happen in this case. So if we had to be really patient for results and approvals to come. So one thing with Ocugen is, so if you look at all the vaccines so far released in US, they are for age above 16 and above. So Ocugen Covaxin has trials for age 12 and above, and also they are doing pediatric trials for kids, small kids, age 2 and above in India right now. So the CEO of Ocugen, Shankar Musunuri, is very optimistic in targeting that age kids. There are, I think 5 to 10 million kids, I'm not sure, middle-aged kids between age 12 and 16, without major clinical trials in US. He also told clearly his company is ready to do if small trial need to be done in that age in US, but he is expecting, based on their discussions that's happening, so they might get approval without trials in US. So nobody knows until exactly when they apply. So final phase 3 result are still expected from actually Bharat Biotech next month sometime, and then they take the data and then they apply in April. That's what they said. So that's what Shankar Musunuri said, they are going to apply in April. So if they might get approval, everything goes in May, or it might come back and they ask for additional information. So that is what the status of where Covaxin Ocugen lies in. So in this during quarterly call, there are a lot of good questions came from analysts. So who are almost right now 4 or 5 analysts are following the stock anywhere between $10 and $15. So a lot of good questions came covering the stocks and prospects of emergency use approval. And the one of the question was how are they going to supply, because Ocugen doesn't manufacture any of this and they do not have any agreement with any company to manufacture them in US. So how are they going to supply? So for that, I think what they have agreement with BARDA Biotech is preliminary agreement to supply, so that BARDA Biotech will supply from India up to 200 million doses of Covaxin if it's approved and US ready to buy the shipment. So this is not, I'm not making up anything. I will show each question and answer from analyst in a minute. So financially, regarding their quarter results, financially they are pretty good. I think they have 24 million or something in cash, and also their burn rate went down. And if they get approval and if they have, then obviously US government will supply money, so that's not an issue at all. So this is not a really a bankrupt company. Obviously, this can, if approval doesn't go through, then yeah, it will come down a lot. But if at the same time approval comes through, a lot of potential to go up. So in a minute, I will show you how the quarter results, how the financial business update went through, and how what questions that analyst covering. And please hold. So this is, as I said, the March 18th morning. This is when the quarter results came for Ocugen. So they reported 31 cents loss compared to $1.46 loss. And if you look at the quarterly updated call, this is what I'm going to go through detailed piece by piece. This is Ocugen Shankar Musunuri results earnings call transcript. So I'll go the highlights of this. Some of them are unlisted and some of them are, other participants, like Roth Capital and Saim Bakal Ramakant. They are covering the stock right now. So if you look at here, okay, the risks they are saying. So basically, Shankar Musunuri is saying Covaxin was developed with partnership between Government of India and Bharat Biotech. So Covaxin provides an opportunity for Ocugen to enter ID market. So technically, what it's saying is the vaccines so far approved in USA are based in mRNA technology. These vaccines rely on mRNA and also which is an adenovirus technology. Well, Covaxin utilizes a traditional approach, advantage stage whole virion inactivated vaccine using a vero cell manufacturing platform. So this is the same technology used in producing polio vaccines for infants globally for decades. So this is what when I meant. This is the platform that is known for decades. So that's the reason why I'm more comfortable taking Covaxin rather than mRNA, Moderna, or Pfizer vaccine for my kids. So Covaxin uses the immune system to target the whole virus, which we believe reduces the possibility of mutant virus escape. So the most selling point is, so it will, what they are saying is it will work for more mutants. So for example, with based on their phase 3 results, they already showed that it's working for UK, and they're also testing on South Africa and Brazil variants. So I think next month they'll get results. I think Ocugen stock also depends on that result also. So the currently available options in the United States target just a spike antigen. So for example, right now Moderna and Pfizer, they are making already boosters. So I already had to take 2 doses and again had to go for every mutant. I might have to potentially go and take another couple of boosters. So the selling point for Covaxin is you don't need those boosters. You take one time because it will work for more mutant viruses. So in fact, data demonstrating Covaxin ability to neutralize the UK variant of SARS-CoV was published recently, and it is 81% effective. So not only Covaxin demonstrated the high clinical efficient against COVID-19, but also showed significant immunogenicity against the rapidly emerging UK variants. Okay, so this is what the phase 3 results, and they are saying phase 3 results final results will be coming soon. And also Covaxin phase 2 results over adults and ages 12 plus. So basically, if you take Moderna vaccine, they are not 12 plus, they are 16 plus. There are over 16 million, yeah, so not 5-10 million. There are over 16 million children in US between age 12 and 16, and most of them must attend middle school or high school. We are planning to use our existing data to potentially cover this age group for EUA. So this is what I am saying. This is their selling target. So if people wants to send their kids, vaccinate their kids, right now there is no option except Covaxin, because Moderna trials still going to take a while. They just started. Told on about, it's still going to take a while. So if you want to vaccinate your kids, probably if it approved is the only option. We'll consider indicating US clinical trials of Covaxin in addition to patient populations, including pediatric and high risk studies. So they are ready to do clinical trials in US if necessary. Okay, so this is the most important. Obviously, Ocugen in active discussions with the FDA to continue to develop regulatory pathway for Covaxin candidate EUA application. As I said, they have to talk, discuss, and answer questions before actually applying for EUA. Based on our discussions, we are planning to file EUA application in April. This is important, and additional efficacy and safety data from phase 3 clinical trial. So April is when they are going to get from BARDA Biotech these final data, and that take that data and they are going to apply. So this is the BARDA, which I was talking about, Biomedical Advanced Research and Development Authority, regarding their role in procuring medical counter measures of strategic national stockpile. So basically, they need to get funding agreement with BARDA, and BARDA says, yes, I will fund you for 200 million or 100 million vaccines. Then they take the money and they sign up with another partner who manufactures them, or they themselves manufacture, and then that's how they are going to manufacture them in US. Until then, they are going to take supply from India directly. So with regard to manufacturing, under our agreement with BARDA Biotech, they will supply the initial doses in the United States upon EUA approval. So BARDA Biotech is going to supply up to 200 million doses this year if needed. So Covaxin offers additional benefits of stockpiling, storing, and distribution. This is also another thing, because look at it, you can regular refrigerator temperature, you can store up to 3 months, and 2 years a normal refrigerator life. So it's like, you can stockpile them without any issues of wastage. So this is one thing. So basically saying, we have vaccine advisors we are working on to get approval under the agreement for EUA. So, and also we are responsible for clinical development, regulatory approval, including EVA and commercialization in the United States, and retain 45% of net profits. So then they're talking about this ophthalmology, how they got approval for AQ400, and then in Europe Commission, and how they are going to apply for FDA to get approval here. So this is what, then coming back to next questions. So Sanjay Subramaniam. So these are the questions are the most important part here, because they have typical critical questions about how the supply and the clinical trials in US and the chance of getting approval. So this is the financial results. Obviously, as I was talking about, they have 24 million in as of December 31st compared to 7.6 billion before, and they raised a lot of money during stock offering last time. And they have a special meeting on stockholder meeting. If you not actually if you have not actually voted for that, I would suggest go and vote for it. They are trying to increase common shares from 200 million to 295 million, which will actually, in my view, dilute. So I voted against that dilution, because they will have enough money if they get approval. So I voted against it. So whatever you can vote, but at least vote before next meeting on April 14th. So questions from analysts. Okay, so K Nakia, yes. Wonder if you can tell me what extent you can, or flavor if you will, discussion with FDA and EUA. So basically, give me details on emergency approval. So the phase 3 data has been presented, top line at least. What more agency telling you? You need to provide them. Okay. So this is what the most important question here is. So we are in discussions. We believe we have regulatory pathway and we have to get additional data just like other companies. One of them is safety, additional safety after booster dose. So, and obviously, if you look at the Bharat Biotech, they got two interim analysis and one final analysis. So we believe when we go to the second interim, if safety data is available, adequate data, we should be sufficient to submit EUA. Companies have done. So technically, as long as if their safety data is good, which I think is pretty good so far based on what they announced, I think they can approve. That's all they are waiting for it. Okay, so that's what where we are in the process. We are anticipating equal to get the required data by sometime April. So this is additional safety data they are expecting from Bharat Biotech to apply for emergency use authorization. Okay. So next question is if required to do some additional clinical study evaluation US. Okay. So if you are to do, if FDA comes and asks you to do more clinical studies in US before granting an approval, okay, what is your lineup in activity like that? So this is also same. I had this question and exactly the guy asked the question. So yes, based on the need for this vaccine and emergency use authorization, I mean our team and advisory board, everybody believes strongly. So I think there's a pretty good chance that we can apply for a UAA. So basically, what he's saying is they can apply for emergency authorization without actually doing any other further clinical studies. However, we always prepare for clinical trials as we outlined, and we are planning to conduct periodic clinical trials and additional trials in high risk. And so, we are, so basically, what they are saying is they are already planning clinical trials in US. They might start anytime, and whether FDA asks or not, we will probably do them. But actually, we are expecting to get emergency apply for EUA even without the clinical trials data in US. Okay, great. So one more manufacturing side. In order to meet the volume goals you laid out there, your discussions with potential CDMOs, are you finding that beyond technical capabilities? Basically saying you are not a manufacturer of the vaccine so far. So what is your plans for potential tying up with CDMOs and how are you going to manufacture them for the capacity that you are promising? Yes, good question. So again, so we are having discussion with CMOs in the US. Obviously, we are making progress on that. So they have not signed, nobody signed up to make Covaxin in US. So if the news comes out with, that's a really good news. We lift the market now and we have this plan fine and all in this case correct initial doses as mentioned they are going to come from Bharat Biotech upon UA approval. So basically Musnuri is saying is hey if we get approval Bharat Biotech will supply up to 200 million doses. Then we have time for tying up with the CMOs and manufacturing US. So the first leg of phase transition we have engaged US CRO which is approved by FDA to do release testing. So they just don't get approval like that. So they have to send the current vaccine to CRO and they will do initial testing. So the initial doses will be released under Ocugen control and further testing. So this guy asked three questions so far. The next question. So basically, thanks for the update. Just two quick questions. So you have communicated back to back. It could have some advantage, like you said. You have plan. It could have maintained the vaccine at, as you said, safety profile and potentially blah blah blah. So it is already in beta patient population inclusive of orphan drugs. So this is they are talking about actually their Ocugen blind eye drug candidate. Okay. Okay. And also the question about 12 plus age group and what is the data that you have 16 million kids are mostly in middle school and high school. So this is the target they are doing hitting it. So this is just like Biden administration is stating upon approval, we'll be able to deploy these doses. We got tens of millions, as we mentioned, from our contractual obligations with Bharat. Okay, so this is talking about the variants and how the results so far. As I said, UK variants are already good for South Africa and Brazil. They still have to get the data. Okay, this is another analyst covering the stock, Ramakant, who is asking a question. So regarding this question is phase 3 data and complete analysis of phase 3 data. Do you have any idea when Bharat Biotech would be able to release it? Again, So yes, we are anticipating at the next interim to come out sometime in April. So as I said, basically they are waiting for this data, which is most critical, and for this EUA submission. Okay, so next question is good question. So does the FDA require final analysis data, or what you get in April is sufficient for both pediatric population? So basically saying based on April, is it enough for FDA to give EUA approval? Yes. So I think FDA is once again the efficacy endpoint is one we believe that with already the first term it looks good. So if it follows and we believe it follows the similar trends, it looks so that should be sufficient. So basically two things he's talking about the efficacy and the safety. If those data is good, that's good enough for the FDA to issue a EUA. Time we get that safety data will be available by April. So we are already having discussions with BARDA, and so we have an active discussion right now, and then we'll continue those. Rick from Christine, I have two questions for you guys. Recent surveys in US shows that more than 30% of Americans choosing not to receive vaccine once they become eligible for many reasons. Have you and your partner thought about different ways that you could educate general population in the US Covaxin differentiates from other vaccines? So basically saying people are not reliable on Moderna or like Pfizer because mRNA technology, and 30% are not ready to take it because of the new technology. Are you guys ready to educate? So basically, what he's saying is, yes, we are already educating and differentiating. So that's what we have been talking about from the beginning. What our platform is, and this is the same as polio vaccine. We've been working on for 10 decades. As I said, I'm ready to take this vaccine for my kids if it's available today in US before sending them to school. So there are a lot of questions, and as you can see, there are back and forth. So far, based on discussions with FDA and BARDA, I am more optimistic since so far they have not released this kind of data. So this with quarter update, I think so far answers they gave for analysts. I'm happy, and there is high chance for approval for Covaxin from Ocugen. So you have to keep, as I said, you have to keep patient with these kind of things. So I'm not selling stock, any of stock might this time. Technically, I will keep watching an eye, and if there is any updates, the next few updates will be released based upon next month the final phase 3 results data from BARDA Biotech. Based on that, they apply. So next 2 months are critical for Ocugen for the stock. So you have to be really keep patient. So this is not advice to buy, hold, or sell a stock, but this is purely what I am thinking, and this is what I am doing with my stock. Hopefully, if you like the stock and if you think useful, please put a comment and please like the video so that I am excited to do another video about Oxygen next week. Thank you. Have a nice day.